Next, I'm going to introduce Vicki Quint. Vicki serves as a steering committee member of the PFAS Community Campaign in Wisconsin on the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources PFAS Technical Committee and is co-chair of the Foam Exposure Committee that was organized to test firefighting foam samples directly for total fluorine. Thank you for joining us today, Vicki.
Thank you, Courtney. Oh, wonderful. There's their screensaver thing. The Watertown tire fire I was going to talk about was our introduction to PFAS, but we did not know it at that time. It's known as one of the top 5 worst tire fires in the world. It was the largest coordinated emergency incident in Wisconsin state history and is still known as such. It involved 920 firefighters from 106 Wisconsin fire departments. There were 25 agencies that participated, including US EPA and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. The overall incident commander was one assistant chief, Michael Quint. Next slide, please. This satellite imagery shows the smoke plume that came from Watertown, and it's going east toward Milwaukee, and the blue that you see is Lake Michigan. This was the first day on July 19, 2005 that it happened. The smoke plume took 637 square miles, 290 square miles were over Lake Michigan. And Michigan, sorry, it went into your state too, and it could be seen from London, England. It lasted 6 days. Normally tire fires burn for months. On this one, they used a firefighting foam called F500 for the last 2.5 days of the incident call. It's a former US EPA Superfund site. They scraped off the top 6 inches of soil and took it to a landfill 7 miles south of Watertown. Next slide. These 2 pictures, the one on the left shows part of the 1 million tires that were burning and the tree that's on fire in the background. These are over 100-foot trees, so it was a really dramatic sight. Chief Quint is in the white helmet down below in the right-hand corner. And on the right side, you'll see the smoke plume, which went up 5 to 9 miles through the atmosphere, hit the atmospheric shelf, bent at a 90-degree angle, and went east. This picture shows you how agricultural the area is. The site was on 12 acres. Next slide. After my husband died of multiple cancers, I started researching, and I tripped across the firefighting foams containing PFAS, among other things, including the tires. This information was shared with the Watertown Fire Department, the 106 fire departments that worked the scene, and then I jumped to the 762 Wisconsin fire departments and Missouri fire departments. The information I've got has been shared with the International Association of Fire Chiefs and Firefighters, State Fire Chiefs Associations, and State Fire Marshals. Our community is the 1.2 million firefighters, 70% of whom are volunteer. Next slide. The fire service has been totally unaware of PFAS toxicity in aqueous film forming foam, AFFF. The incident commanders, the ICs, are supposed to be considered the first line risk managers. We've tested replacement fluorine-free foams. They're available now. There's no excuse. And now we have citizens who are educating the fire service after their water sources are contaminated. Next slide. Change is coming. The Foam Exposure Committee, which I'm a part of, was formed 2019 because of our concern about firefighters' direct exposures to these firefighting foams. We collected almost 200 firefighting foam samples we obtained from fire departments, not from industry. We wanted them tested. We were able to get a huge data amount of them, and we're using this. We've come up with a good list of what we consider fluorine-free or F3 AFFF replacements that a fire department can feel comfortable using. Just in December 2020, an alert was issued for fire extinguishers by NAFED. Did you all know that your fire extinguisher in your house or your garage may contain AFFF? So this is a problem, this is an issue. Insurance and legal pressures are building. The multi-district litigation, any lawsuit filed right now in the United States, if it has firefighting foam in the name of it, is sent off to a federal court in South Carolina for consolidation with the rest of the 1,000 plus cases that are there right now. Next slide. AFFF is in water sources worldwide. We know airports and military are still using AFFF. States are now collecting older AFFFs. The picture to the right, Michigan had a collection of older AFFFs last fall. This one is a 3M product, an AFFF that should have been collected, and it got missed. And the Howell Fire Department had 5 of these pails listed on eBay a few weeks ago. So the Foam Exposure Committee put out a bulletin, because we've been doing that every Friday, and we mentioned that. And miraculously, it disappeared from eBay the next day. So we were happy. There's 360,000 plus fire apparatus in 58,000 fire stations in the United States. And our fire departments are charged with protecting the public. Next slide. We know firefighters have higher cancer rates than the general population. We know they have ingestion and or inhalation during foam application. They eat and drink while on incident sites. They have to, they're still human. They're drinking contaminated water and food, and we're concerned about dermal absorption, and there's a few studies going on with that right now. The picture in the lower right is 2 military people sweeping AFFF off the flight deck. Next slide. Watertown. This is 16 years later, and there's a river near there. It's called the Rock River. And Watertown is still not recognized as a PFAS contamination site. I took water samples from the Rock River, had them tested for total fluorine, and gave those results to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources 6 months ago. So we're still waiting. Marinette, the Tyco Fire Technology Center, the picture to the right there is ditch A. This is decades of firefighting foam use continues to flow into Lake Michigan. City municipal water sources in Marinette and the town of Peshtigo are contaminated. And one thing about the Great Lakes I've learned is what happens to one Great Lake happens to all of them because they're connected. And the Great Lakes provide water for 30 million citizens in the United States. In Madison, Lake Monona was contaminated during some downtown transformer fires by the Madison Fire Department. They were using a fire aid product. They had been told by the manufacturer, it's fluorine free, it's good to use. It wasn't. It contaminated Lake Monona. So the public pressure increased, and over a period of 5 months, the fire department changed over to real fluorine-free firefighting foams that were tested to make sure. Oh, next slide. We're going to be putting out a bulletin tomorrow on delivery systems of AFFF in containers, and I'll just go over this briefly, but the fire extinguishers have 9.3 ounces, and they go up to the greater than 20,000 gallons that are on an aircraft carrier. Next slide. Military firefighters can now receive PFAS blood testing, so we're happy about that. Retired military firefighters cannot. What do the high PFAS numbers in their blood mean? I had an Air Force pilot call me from Utah. He said, one of my guys just got his blood test back and it's very high. What am I supposed to tell him? And I responded, I'm not a medical person, but I can tell you that the PFAS bind with the proteins in the blood and go to target organs. We're concerned about some things, and let me send you some information. So I did that. How are they going to lower the PFAS in their blood? Blood testing and medical monitoring would help the firefighters protect their health and get them access to care when needed. Dr. Jeff Burgess, University of Arizona, is working on firefighter exposure studies right now. Next slide. And what can be done right now? Before I read this, the hoses to the right are from an Indiana Fire Department from their hose stand. And we would like all US firefighters need PFAS blood testing. We need the retired military firefighters. They need PFAS blood testing. Fire departments can stop using AFFF right now. There are no regulations requiring them to use AFFF. Last slide.
Thank you so much, Vicki.